Hi, my name is Jessica. Welcome to my channel. This is Jessica Center Stage, and today I want to talk about some signs that I was a lesbian that I ignored, and how I didn't know I was gay until I was 30 years old. First of all, I grew up at a time where we did have internet, but we did not have internet in our pockets. We had personal desktop computers, which we could connect to the internet for a brief time. You couldn't be on the phone and on the internet at the same time. We had social media in the form of myspace.com. But yeah, we didn't have TikTok. We didn't have exposure to all these things. And I grew up in a small rural town in the middle of West Virginia. So there was just not a lot of representation of queer people, especially queer people who were happy and thriving and welcomed by society. There were a couple gay kids in my school, but most of them struggled a lot. They were outcasted. They struggled a lot with their mental health. They got into drugs and alcohol and things outside of school that they should not have been, and they oftentimes transferred out of our school or got suspended, or so there just wasn't an example of queer person doing well. There were some adults who were obviously queer, but they either were closeted and just people didn't acknowledge it, or it just was not discussed openly. And I honestly don't remember the moment when I learned that being gay was even a thing. Looking back, a lot of the friends I had, like for example, my first boyfriend in the 6th grade turned out to be gay. We were both singers and in arts classes and things together. So a lot of the queer kids ended up flocking together. We just didn't know at the time that that's what we were. By the time I went to college, however, I started to realize, so my freshman year of college, I befriended a girl and we clicked right away, and we were basically inseparable for that whole year. She turned out to be a lesbian as well, but she ended up transferring to another school and we lost touch. And by my sophomore year, I ended up in a long-term committed relationship. Well, the relationship started junior year. That's a whole other story. I remember starting to become aware that I liked women, but I was kind of more intrigued about just having experiences. I was still in this mindset of liking the validation and the status symbol of having a boyfriend. That was something that I felt all through high school. I just remember thinking, I want to have a boyfriend. Not because I like boys, but because having a boyfriend means you're better than everyone else. I don't know. I just knew it was a status symbol, and I also wanted to experience things like your first kiss, those kinds of things. I wasn't really thinking like, ooh, I like this. It was just like, I'm curious about this because it's new and I've never experienced it and I want to know what the hype is. So same thing for when I went to college. I got a boyfriend, and you know what happens in college when you get a boyfriend. But I had that boyfriend, and then we broke up, and then my next boyfriend swooped in right away. And that seemed to keep happening from the time I was 14 until age 30. I was in a relationship. I never had the chance to just be single and think for a second because the boys were obsessed with me. I don't know. I just always had a boyfriend. So through college, I never had the chance to just be single and realize that I liked women until my sophomore year. Like I said, that's when I really started to be conscious of the fact that I liked women. But I was in a relationship with a man who happened to also be queer. And I told him, and he said, that's cool. So I thought, oh, well, I'm never going to find another boyfriend who is okay with the fact that I like women, so I should stay with him. Never occurred to me that I could just, like, be with a woman. Like, a man doesn't have to be there. That's the thing that wasn't clicking at the time. There was more to it. Like I said, growing up in a rural town in West Virginia, everyone was Christian or religious, and at that time, I also felt like most people, even in college, were religious, and I felt like, okay, he's queer, and he's also not religious. By that time, I had deconstructed my religion, and so I thought, no one else in the world is going to have those two qualities. It's silly to think about now, like, but yeah, I thought that I was a minority, and I thought that he was a minority, and I wasn't going to be able to find another partner that would be secular and queer. I wish I could go back in time and just say, hey, like, you can just be single or you can be with a woman. And most queer women are also not religious. Like, there's a lot of people in the world, especially outside of West Virginia, okay? Anyway, so fast forward, I ended up staying with that man until I was 30. And by then, in the last year of our relationship, we had tried being in an open relationship. I was still, by that time, I identified as pansexual. Again, because I still had a man, and I thought, well, I can't be fully lesbian if I'm married to a man. So I guess I'm pansexual. But at the same time, I had thoughts that, like, if he wasn't there, I wouldn't date other men. If/when we break up, I'm only going to date women for the rest of my life. So yeah, then finally we broke up, we got divorced, all of that, and I started dating women. And at that point, I still wasn't sure if because I thought, since we had been in an open relationship, I thought I'm polyamorous. So I was dating women, but also being polyamorous still. And I soon learned that actually no, I'm not polyamorous, especially not with women. With a man, yes, because there's something missing. Women. So yeah, it wasn't until after the man was finally out of the picture that my brain felt safe enough to help me realize that. Now that I don't have to like a man, I realized I don't. And then when I was dating women, I realized I don't want to share. I want to be obsessed with you, and you be obsessed with me and nobody else. So I realized, okay, with women, I want to be monogamous, but with men, I can't be monogamous, because with men, there's something missing, and with women, there's not. And that was the light bulb moment for me to finally say, I am a lesbian. Thank God. Thank God. I'm so thankful to have supportive family and friends who were like, right on. And I haven't looked back. Still very much single now, still healing. You know, when you date women for the first time and you have to just go through a lot of canon experiences, it's exhausting. So I'm still healing from all of that, but the fact remains that I would rather be single for the rest of my life than to ever date a man again. I am gay. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, I hope to see you in future videos. Please subscribe, like, share, all of that. Leave your comments below. I want to know what you liked from this story. If you can relate to anything, tell us, share with the class your experiences with coming out, some signs that you missed. I'm sure there's more that I just totally forgot about, and I will share in future videos. I definitely want to talk about this more. This was just kind of like an intro, basically, but yeah, thanks for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!